Hello, everyone. I am Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. That's same with Twitter. That's YouTube, all that good stuff. Give me a follow. Drop me a line. Been fun chatting with you guys. As always, big news in the league on Wednesday. Stefon Diggs traded from the Bills to the Texans. How does this affect the Steelers? I want to talk, at least do a little short segment on this. First off, are the Steelers in the same league as the Texans and Bills? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But I think Houston is a legit Super Bowl contender now and are a much better team than when we saw them last. I think the Bills, which is something I predicted, are noticeably worse now than when the season ended. I figured the offseason would hit them hard, and it has. It hasn't shocked me that Diggs moved. He seemed very uncomfortable or unhappy. His production, his usage went down greatly in the second half of the season, most of which, to be honest, I don't think was his doing. I think he's playing just as well as ever. I watched a lot of his late season tape, even though his numbers were down, because I thought, I'm going to come to this in a minute, the Steelers might be involved in this. And I think Buffalo now is a strong candidate to not only take a receiver in round one, but maybe even get ahead of some teams and move up drastically in the first round to do it. Houston's in great shape. I mean, I don't think this is an indication that they're worried about Tank Dell's injury, or I do think it's noteworthy that Nico Collins is a free agent after the year. But they basically gave up a 2025 second, which could be a very late second round pick. And the Bills, and inherit a lot of money. So should the Steelers have been in on this? Now, this is all speculation for me. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. People in that building don't tell me things. But I got a strong feeling that they were at least talking to the Bills this offseason about Diggs. That this was something, that an option that they at least thoroughly explored. I'm not going to condemn him for not being the team to do it. He is high maintenance. He's expensive. He's older. Whether or not I'm right about his tape being just as strong, his production did fall off drastically in the second half of the season. But you run out of options at receiver. I'm just saying that part. And it is an awesome receiver draft, but I thought by now a veteran, not necessarily star, but maybe star, Ayuk, Diggs, etc., might have landed, in Pittsburgh. One thing I've been kind of holding on the back burner, because it hasn't happened yet, is leading into like the owners' meetings when there's still a lot of action, and I still think it could happen. The Dolphins are strongly linked to Odell Beckham. And like the Bills, I thought Miami would be one of the teams that was hit absolutely hardest in free agency. And if you're any kind of salary cap interest or ever go to Spot Track or Over the Cap, it's almost laughable if you look at the Dolphins' cap situation next year. They'll survive this year, but for next year, and they don't have Tua wrapped up yet. I mean, he is not locked in at all. So where am I going? Why do we care about the Dolphins? Well, I wonder if you could get Waddle, because Waddle's a free agent after this year too, or it's fifth-year option time for him. I would adore that move. I would give up an awful lot for Jalen Waddle, and I would pay him. I just don't know that Miami can, and they are very much a win-now team. They may not want to trade one of their stars, but he's coming off a little bit of a down year as an injured player. Tyreek's obviously the straw that stirs the drink. If you could add Odell, they maybe would have to trade him, just because the future cap situation there would be really rough on Miami, really rough on Miami. So I just wanted to throw that out there. These two receivers, Diggs is the story. I've been holding this Waddle stuff just to see if Odell does sign there. It does seem like a Dolphins type move, to add Beckham. And they could really hamstring themselves with, trying to keep Waddle around, and the Steelers might be the team that could swoop in and grab him. I'm not going to kill the Steelers for not getting Diggs, but when I did see he went to the Texans, I thought, what could have been? It's a substantial investment, though. It's a future second. It's a lot of money, and he's high maintenance, although I think Coach Tomlin would handle that fine. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. Up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends. You can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team, and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, capital B, lowercase LEAV, for 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So Mike Sando, friend of mine, works for The Athletic. Saw him at the owners' meeting. He and I were at ESPN for 10 years together. He does tremendous work. Him and I actually used to write a combined column there for a while. Whatever. You guys probably know who he is. Either way, I don't need to sing the praises of Mike Sando, who does a tremendous job. But anyway, he's very connected in the league, and he often writes columns with quotes from GMs, coaches, scouts, higher-ups around the league. And he went team by team of what do you think of their offseason to this point. And I just want to kind of touch on what he dug up with the Steelers. Some of it's not huge news, some of it's kind of interesting to me. So when you look at each team, it tells you APY added, average per year added. They added 41.6 million average per year. We're talking about dollars. That's 17th in the league. But they lost 34.9 million, which is 20th in the league. So it's pretty close to a wash. So their APY, average per year differential, is only 6.8 more spending than what they lost. Take that what you want, but it's middle of the pack. It's 17th. Is that super noteworthy? No. But they weren't one of the teams that financially, contractually, lost way more than they gained, or vice versa. So that is noteworthy to me. One exec said, I'll just read what Mike had to say here. He said, adding quarterbacks Russell Wilson and Justin Fields for less average per year than the NFL's highest paid kickers seems like a good deal, especially when Fields cost only a day 3 draft considerations. And then an executive, quoted said, they should be applauded for where they are at and what they have done. Beyond their quarterback additions, the Steelers traded Deontay Johnson to Carolina, traded Kenny Pickett to Philadelphia, and signed 24-year-old former Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen. And another executive said, the hallmark is defense and always has been. They've been able to find the receivers in the draft. They have successfully shopped receivers who have become disgruntled. They will now be running an offensive system that saw Ryan Tannehill have his best year, which you would think bodes well for both Wilson and Fields. Okay, I'm fine with that. I thought this was kind of interesting too, and I like the way Mike phrases it. He says, age could be one concern, though. The Steelers' 11 signings from other teams averaged 28.8 years of age, which is pretty high. Right behind the Jets for oldest average among teams adding more than 3 players. So if you just added one dude and it was Aaron Rodgers, that screws you up. You know what I mean? So if you added 3 players or more, only the Jets' average age of those players was higher than the Steelers, that are just under 29 years old. Okay. But Sando's smart, and he said that average, though, is greatly inflated by Wilson, who's 35, and quarterbacks age differently than others. Cordarrelle Patterson, who's just really a returner at 33 years old, and a punter who's 32 years old, and Cameron Johnston. And they're all on very team-friendly deals. So we talk about team age a lot, and I do think it's a big thing and something you have to be very self-conscious of. But hypothetical, you bring back Patrick Peterson on a 1-year deal for league minimum, and he's old. Does that mean your franchise got super old just because you use him for one more year? You know what I mean? to me, it's more about the core. The guys you're counting on now long term. You don't want to get too old in that regard. Last thing in this little article was, as for Fields, would you rather have him for $4.7 million or Gardner Minshew for $12.5? Would you rather have Fields or Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, or Sam Darnold? And basically what he's saying is you'd rather Fields. So is it a perfect offseason? No, but I do think some people in the league and some things that he noted there were topical. And mix that with the Stefon Diggs news. I'm getting maybe ahead of myself on Waddle, but I've been kind of thinking on that one for a while. We'll do this again tomorrow. Take care.